Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy stream. And as always, we're going to date stamp this. This one is year 3, blog 33. In legacy numbers, that's blog number 137. Yeah, 137 of these blogs so far since I started. And the date is the 6th of October, 2024. So we're getting close to the end of the year. I look out the window and it looks pretty miserable, but we've had some pretty good weather this week. It's been sunny on Saturday and Friday, bit rainy and overcast on other days. And the only thing I've really noticed is it's sort of like the nights have been drawing in. Not really bad, but when it comes to the nights drawing in, it means that when I go and see my mother, she's not at the window quite as much as she'd like. I have to draw the curtains and turn the lights on a little bit earlier, and it's just that sad feeling that we're going to be in pitch black darkness by about 4 o'clock in about a month's time. And of course, this month sees Halloween. So from my perspective, with some things that I do with films and TV, everybody is excited about horror films. But then again, most of the chat is talking horror films all through the year. So I should think that everybody is gearing themselves up to watch a marathon amount of horror films on October 31st. I know some people are doing a horror film a day through the whole of October. I just couldn't do something like that, my God. I like horror films, but I'm not totally into all of that. So that's sort of like happening in October. For me, October is a rest time while I gear myself up for my operation, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But overall, it's been sort of like an okayish week, really. Nothing drastic has happened. Nothing memorable that makes me concerned about anything. So we'll get on, shall we, with the news? Let's get that out the way, shall we? Because the news is just something that I date stamp. I talk about stuff that I've seen in the war, because I've been doing that ever since I started this blog, and some news events that have happened in the UK. But I tend to find that with me not doing so much walking at the moment because of my leg, I'm not listening to podcasts and news as much as I used to, and I don't tend to watch the news at 6 o'clock. Sometimes I've caught the end of it because I do some stuff with my mother. She likes the soaps. So, of course, 7:30 is an important time for my mother. And that's when I sit down and eat with her to make sure she's eating. My mother is actually in okayish spirits. I think she misses her bottles of Prosecco. And always a sign of contention with my mother, because she wants to open it, and then when she has a glass she wants more, and she's taking blood pressure tablets and paracetamol tablets. And when I say paracetamol tablets, I mean 2 to 4 a day, and she takes 2 tablets and they're 500 milligrams each. That's 1,000 milligrams of paracetamol in the morning and 1,000 in the evening. And anybody will tell you it's not good to have alcohol with tablets. So I tend to wean her off of paracetamol on Friday, giving her 1. Saturday, then she can have a drink, and then start her back up on Sunday. But she wants to do more than that. And how am I to really contest an 83-year-old's want to enjoy herself and have a nice drink? So I'm only really upset when she wants to open it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going, why? And she'll go, because it tastes nice. And I can't really contest that either, but I can say, have a cup of tea. I'll get you, a nice juice or something. No, I want Prosecco. It tastes nice. Okay, I get it. But anyway, what was I talking about? The news. Sort of going off in tangents. So let's get this news out the way, shall we? So the war. This I just noted down this morning because I always keep it fresh. The news. Ukraine forces said they shot down a Russian warplane in Ukraine east on Saturday. The bomber was down near the city of, and remember, I can't pronounce these very well, was down near the city of Kostiantynivka. Oh, God, in the Donetsk region. Meanwhile, Russia has captured the village of Zelane in the Donetsk region after a hard-fought 2-year defense. As they keep moving forward into Russia, Russia then keep moving into Ukraine. And of course, you hear about civilian deaths and little success stories like downing bombers. I just want the war to end. As you remember last week or the week before, there's all these conversations to say the only way to win this is with power, which I don't agree with, but maybe it is the only way. I want a peaceful resolution. We know, well, or should I say, although I don't have opinions, I am steadfast in my opinion that Russia started this. They need to back off. But they won't. So, what can we say? The biggest chance I thought was when the presidency came up again in Russia. But unfortunately, the same leader got back in. That's Putin, isn't it? So, yeah. So we move on to the UK news, and I just wish Ukraine well. And let's hope for a successful resolution. We move on to UK. And there's some sort of like nice stories, not that I'm that interested in them, but I did see this on the news during the week. Close to 100 couples got married at the Old Marylebone Town Hall this week in a celebration of this iconic building's centenary, I think it was, famous for marrying celebrities throughout the years. The cost was £100 per ceremony, cut down from the normal between £621 and £1,230, which is the average cost. Yeah, I mean, nice successful story. Can you imagine nearly 100 people all going in for a ceremony? There were some same-sex marriages in that as well. The master of ceremony was really busy that day. You can imagine it. Trying to keep everybody on time. I take it it's about 20 minutes per ceremony or something like that. I'm not quite sure how many people were doing the marriages, like whether there was 2 or 3 going on at the same time. So that was 3 every 20 minutes. Because if you do 1 every 20 minutes, that's 3 an hour. You ain't going to get 100, are you? In a day. But it was a nice sort of like goodwill story amongst all the crap that we've had recently. So I thought I'd bring that one in. The next one I saw on the news, and I did see this because it was before my mother's soaps. Boris Johnson was interviewed this week on national TV. It was on at 7 o'clock. On national TV, the first time since the Boris lost his status as Prime Minister. He did not apologise for any of the situations encountered during his tenure. Yeah, he kept going on about his majority win in 2019, that he met with huge amounts of world events. There was one big one, Brexit, which was coming to the end, really, when he came in. COVID then came in, and then we had all the scandals from COVID. which basically signified his downfall. And I dare say, therefore, the end of the Conservatives' leadership, which happened this year, because, to be quite honest, everybody that stepped in was a nightmare. I'm not big into politics. I don't really give a shit. They're all as bad as each other. You'll notice that I've been talking a little bit about the Labour government since they've stepped in, and their cuts and the deficit, which they all blame on the Conservatives. And what can you say? The Conservatives' opinion was, we've got a plan to raise the money, so let's do it. And the Labour's is if we haven't got the money in the coffers, we don't do it. Two sides of a coin. My father would have been on the side of, I'm pretty sure, if we haven't got the money in the coffers, don't do it, because he was very much on not using credit cards and things. He said, if I've got it in the bank, I'll buy it. If I don't have it in the bank, I won't. Rarely taking out loans other than for the big important things, like keeping the house secure, making sure it was in good maintenance, insurance was in place, and keeping the car running. That's pretty much it. And my father was pretty good at keeping money aside, for repairs. So, yeah, I do understand that. But my father was never really a Labour supporter. I've never been a Labour supporter. I've rarely been Conservative. There have been times in my life that I have. And this year when I went in, I probably wasted my vote on one of the other parties outside of the big two. So, and I wasn't part of the Reform either, because I don't like that leader of that. So, yeah, not much to say other than, what it was a bad interview from what I could see. He was promoting his book. He just stood by, I did the best I could during some huge events that affected not just England but the world. And he made the best choices that he possibly could. The basically outcome of that really is that the reports that have come out since COVID has finished has shown that wasn't really the answer that anybody wants to hear. And just to end with more politics, the Conservative Party leadership campaign has started, with 4 candidates all speaking at the party conference, and spouting why they should be leader. Again, I didn't even see, or I couldn't even mention the names of the people. I remember what some of the newscasters were saying. This guy was part of the Ministry of Defence and has never lost a mission. There was another guy that basically said that we need to change everything about ourselves. And then there were 2 others that I don't even remember what they looked like. I think one of them was a lady, and she just spouted the same sort of spiel, anything to G up their candidacy. And I suppose over the next 4 or 5 weeks, that's going to be all over the news, and then there'll be one leader, and then that person will be the person that's going to go up against the leader, the Prime Minister at the moment, in Prime Minister's questions times. So, yeah, a lot of crap really for the news. Sorry to bother you and mix all that crap up. It's nothing there really special. And then we got this week, which, as I said, very little has happened compared to the past 2 weeks. Past 2 weeks have been horrendous. With some minor chest pain and discomfort when I was talking about my operation being moved and not getting my new tablets and having to wait 2 hours and all of this sort of stuff. Monday and Tuesday last week was a bugbear. So, yeah. This week, less so. Monday and Tuesday were mostly relaxing times. I did speak to work. and just explain that I would be getting my sick note as soon as I can, but it takes 5 to 7 days, and I only asked for it last Friday, so there's no point really chasing me for that. I'll get it as soon as I can. And I did some of my videos for my gaming challenge, which were very, very enjoyable. And Wednesday came along, and I had my little chat with Ian Hill, the Ramblings, who I totally recommend. Sort of you look at that channel at least. Look at some of the videos that are going on, but I have a chat with him every Wednesday. Subscribe if you can, if you like what you see. And we had a nice chat. Very little happened. There wasn't any turmoil from trollers or anything that came in and tried to subtly cause problems. So that was nice. We had a great time. Lots of people came in, asked us some questions. And Ian and I discussed whether, how good it was, and now that we've reached something like 26 weeks of doing them, whether there was any changes that were needed. And I said no, because I always look at it like me having a chat with you in a pub, and just having general questions, about what you watched this week, and what did you think of this film, and what do you think of the state of this on TV, and all that sort of stuff. Very, very, very sort of like, music and all of that sort of stuff, and very, very relaxed. And I think that's the difference, I think, with some of the other chats that I've been involved in the past. Not saying that they were bad, but they did seem to be very horror orientated, very much about trailers that week, all of that sort of stuff. I like talking about the pre-orders that I've made this week and any problems that I've had, that sort of stuff. But we keep it very light and not always about current. I do like going to the cinema. I do like new films, but I don't go as often as I could at the moment with my heart condition. And Ian is in a sort of like the same way, so he doesn't go to the cinema as much, and therefore is a film watcher on a big screen. Which is nothing wrong with that. There are great things that you can do at home. With your surround system and all of that sort of stuff. So, Wednesday sort of like came and went. Thursday I had to get my normal tablets. Now, you must sort of like understand here that my new tablets, they only gave me a month's worth. And I had to get that sort of like organised. But it's out of sort of like sort of like parallel with my other tablets. So my other tablets are now starting to get to the bottom, and I need to therefore get 2 months supply of those. So I ordered those last Friday. I went in on Thursday, which is a quite amount of time. We're talking 4 or 5 days, because I did it Thursday night actually, for so that they got it Friday morning. And I went down there, which was hard, because remember, I am trying to walk greater distances. One thing I did notice is that by the time I got to the park, which is a good 6 or 7 minutes into the walk, things ease up a little bit. I don't know whether it's blood flow, oxygen flow. I'm still hobbling, but there's less discomfort. It's almost like, I don't know if you've heard of this before, but they say if you break your hand in a boxing match, right? If you break your wrist, it's bloody painful because you can't punch with it. It hurts, right? But what boxers do, and this was in a Rocky film, so I don't know if it's true, they still punch with it. They ride out the pain. And by the time that you get to the next round, so after about 3 or 4 minutes, and then the 1 minute reprise for going into the corner, it's numb. And therefore you can punch even harder than you did before, because the pain is now numbed. And I've got a funny feeling that happens with me when I'm walking. the pain gets numb because I've had that acute pain for a good 5 or 6 minutes, and with the reoxygenization and blood flow, it sort of like goes away, sort of. But I always find going down to the doctor's surgery a difficult going down to the doctors as well as coming back up. There's a huge hill, and I think I have to mark this as being sort of similar to if you have leg pain and you're walking down the stairs to compared to when you're walking up the stairs. Now, when you're going down the stairs, you're stretching your leg more because it's uneven. So obviously your foot is stretching itself and going down. When you're going up, you're putting pressure on, but you're going up and it's a shorter sort of like span for your leg to go from the point of your leg being raised to the point where your foot hits the floor. So I tend to find going downhill harder than going uphill. And uphill's a struggle, but just because, I haven't done my walking for such a long period of time, and I've just had a stent put into my heart, that I'm a little bit out of breath a little bit when I get to the top of the hill. So anyway, that's the sort of like issues that I get. But anyway, I went to get my tablets and one of them wasn't ready, and they asked me to sit down. And there I was for 25 minutes, waiting around for the tablets. I got them, checked them all before I left because of all the problems that happened the week before, and then walked home. But before I walked home, I went to reception and I said, "Can I ask a question?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "My discharge letter says that I couldn't drive for 4 weeks. It also states that the hospital and the doctor do not instruct the DVLA. They put the non-driving for 4 weeks as a precautionary measure, and that after 4 weeks you can drive." So I asked the question, who gives the authority for this? Because it's been 5 over 4 weeks. It's actually 5, close to 6. And they told me to email someone. But I came back and looked at my discharge letter, and it said I didn't need to email anybody. And it didn't say that the GP does it either. It just says this is a precautionary, and after 4 weeks, as long as there have been no further incidents, you can drive. So on Friday, I made the decision to get some jobs done. And one of those was getting a big shopping sort of thing done. And on Thursday night, I went out and started the car to make sure it started, which it did. Because it's been sat there, you see, for 4 or 5 weeks. So, of course, it hasn't been used at all. So on Friday, I did what I normally do. While my mum's having her hair done, I tidy the house. I do the hoovering. I steam clean the hallway, which has got wooden flooring, not carpeting. So I use a steam cleaner, do the steam cleaning in the kitchen, and do the steam cleaning in the second living room, which is tiled. Always find that a bit funny. My mum wanted tiles for some reason. I think it makes the room a bit cold. But anyway, neither here nor there. Steam clean that. And when she got back, and she'd been to Greg's, which is nice, but I tend to not eat pastry things much at the moment. I like actually when she brings back a nice jacket spud or something. I quite like that. But anyway, she'd been to Greg's. I said, "Right, Mum, I'm now going off to do the shopping." Car started, drove there, no problems. But I made one big mistake, and I think you probably might have worked out what I'm going to be talking about now. So I went round, did the shopping. I didn't need to sit down once, so that was good news. But remember, I didn't walk to Sainsbury's from my home. So, of course, less walking. But it was a good shopping, like through every aisle, looking at stuff. And I used that scanning thing that they've got, where it does all the pricing for you before you get to the till, and then you can just scan it into the till and pay the money. So I put everything in the car, and damn, the car didn't start. And then the realization came to me. Shit. I haven't used the car for 5 weeks, and of course the battery's flat. Damn. And of course I'm just about a mile away from the house. So I looked at my phone, looked at my policy, and yes, as long as I am a mile away from my home, I can call the AA, which I am a member of, not because I joined them for anything, but because my Lloyd's Bank Gold card gives me AA car rescue as a perk of using a gold card through Lloyd's. It also gives me phone insurance, for loss or damage to my mobile phone, and gives me other little perks like not having to pay commission for transferring your money if you're going abroad and that, which is useless to me because I haven't been abroad for years. But those other two things certainly make up for the charge that I get charged by Lloyd's Bank for having a gold card. So I phoned them up, and I tell you what, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I phoned up, and it said, we're sending you a text message. It asked me to turn on my location. It asks me some questions about what the problem was, which I said flat battery. And it said, we're looking now for a patrol vehicle that's near you. And then it came back a minute later and said, he'll be there in 10 minutes. 10 minutes! Thought I was going to be stuck in that car park for hours. I even went into the petrol station of Sainsbury's and said, who do I speak to in regards to problems with your car? Because it says you can only park for 3 hours. And I've got a funny feeling I might be there for some time. She said, just speak to the shop manager. But before I spoke to the shop manager, I did all this calling the AA and all that sort of stuff. 10 minutes. And it weren't far off. It was actually 15 minutes. 5 minutes late, hardly anything. The bloke, I kept the space to the left of me free for my car. And I told him what an idiot I'd been. I said, I do apologise for calling you out. I said, I should have realised my dad would be laughing. I said, my dad would be laughing right now because it had said, how stupid were you for you to not charge your battery up before using your car after it had been standing for so long. And I'd have been going, yeah, Dad, sorry, Dad, all this sort of stuff. But bloody right, he was always right on things like that. Anyway, they do their normal thing, and it's a health check on your battery. And I swear sometimes that some of these car rescue things do it because they want to sell you a battery, right? These batteries cost anything from a cheap one of like 50 or 60 quid all the way to 250 quid. And of course, I've got an Audi. So it uses quite a strong, larger type battery with special connector ends for the sensors and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, he did a health check and he said, no, your battery is healthy, but it says it's dead. So let me get my kit out. So he got his kit out, connected it to the positive, connected it to the negative. He said, start your car. I said, okay. Started the car, started first time. He said, I'm going to leave that on for about 5 minutes because it's going to put some charge in it. And also I'm going to do a test that charge is going into your battery while you've got your car running. And he did that and he said, no problems. And he said, I'm off now to my next job. Any problems, give me a bell. How far did I have to drive? And I told him it was just over a mile. And he said, you should be fine then. When you get home, put it on charge. Definitely do an overnight charge if you can. I said, yes, of course. Thank you very much. And the only thing I noticed, and it is really weird, he stood there for absolutely ages, and I didn't know if he was expecting me to pull out. But his vehicle's incredibly large, and when I'm reversing out, I can't see jack shit, right? And when I was reversing back, my brakes weren't working. I had to put the handbrake on. I don't know why. It didn't say there was a brake failure. There was no light on. But a car went rushing past. I managed to stop it. I moved forward, and the guy waved at me to say goodbye, and he drove off, and then I could see the road better. I tried to go in reverse again, and this time the brakes worked perfectly fine. But I was conscious of the brake then all the way home. Oh, what was that? Is there something that I need to know? Should I put it on my? I've got a monitor, a car, a VAG monitor, and I thought I'll do that at some point. But it's probably because when you do have the battery die on you, it resets an awful lot of the electronics. And I do know that the brakes are all linked to the electronic system, because the handbrake goes off when you press the foot pedal, and when you move forward, and all sorts of extra things. So I wasn't too worried about it. I got home, no problems. The first thing I did is open the garage door slightly, so I had my car close to the garage, but enough just to open it ajar. Led an extension lead through the garage to the battery charger, connected it up, and put it on charge. And I put it on charge for about 4 hours before nightfall came, knowing full well that I needed to do another long charge of at least about 6 hours during next week, for which I've had it on charge this morning, which is why this blog is a little bit late, because I put it on charge about 10 o'clock this morning. And that'll give it a good charge all the way up to 6 o'clock this evening. So that's that bit. So that was a stupid thing, which I totally slap my wrist on and say, don't be so bloody stupid in the future. Put all the shopping away as well, of course. All this week I've been cooking my mother's tea. I cooked a shepherd's pie from scratch. Sorry, a cottage pie, not shepherd's pie, cottage pie, from scratch this week. Saturday was blog prep, and I got a text message from my friend Pete, Playtendoguy, and did a chat on Saturday evening, which went very well. It was with Josh and Jamie as well. Amy, unfortunately, wasn't very well, caught a horrible flu, which is going around, to be quite honest. We talked about everything, and it was more horror orientated, and more about the film The Joker, because that was the big film this week. And Jamie is a big Batman fan, so of course he was excited to talk about Joker. I haven't seen it, but I said, honestly, talk about the end if you want. I've ordered the steelbook, but I doubt I'll be going to the cinema to see it. I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan, or singing in films too much, so I'll probably just be watching it at home when it does physically come out. And we had a ball, absolute marvelous time. And then of course we're at my blog. I don't think there's anything else really to talk about. This week I did download the 1 terabyte Mr. image. No big hurry for that. I used a 1 terabyte external drive to download the RAR files. I bought a very, very cheap SSD in the Amazon sale. They've got 2 days this week and 2 days next week for Prime members only. Before they do their Black Friday, whatever it is, thing. And I always look at the SSDs anyway, because I find them useful and cheap during the sales, and it's always good to have a spare SSD drive. So I ordered a 2 terabyte SD drive. It was less than £80, so that was good, and put that in my machine on Thursday. And on Friday, I formatted it and unRAR'd those files from the drive to the new SSD drive, which is connected to the very fastest SATA port inside the machine. It's one of those 6 gigabit cables. So it was going USB 3 to the internal hard drive for the image. So it took about 3 or 4 hours, which I thought was quite long But then I remembered my friend Steve was also measuring time on expanding this image. I think he was using USB 2 and it took him all night. So I took it that was quite a good speed, actually. And on Friday, I then burnt the image that was off of the SSD drive to the 1 terabyte SSD. So there's the card, look, just there. 1 terabyte SanDisk, which Mamemeister recommended. And I did a little test of that on Saturday. So yeah, I forgot to mention all of that. Of course, when I'm always doing stuff inside the machine, I give it a bit of a clean. Everything was fine. While trying to connect the new drive, it did pull one of the cables out from the DVD writer. But I'm not using the DVD writer, and it's one where at some point this week I'll open the side up again and just poke that back in. But you have to twist it and push it in, and it will probably pull out there for the other one. I need to relax some cable tidies, is what I'm trying to say, at the back on the side of the machine, which are all cable tied to the main support posts of the case. So I just need to do some little bits of uncutting and stretching and all that sort of stuff. So that was that. And I had a nice conversation, or should I say text conversation, with my friend Steve, because this 1 terabyte image didn't seem to have an awful lot on it. And so I asked Steve, did he do an update all on this new image? And he said he did. So I did that, and all of a sudden, all of the console stuff for Saturn and Nintendo 64 all suddenly showed. And therefore, lots more stuff was there. It updated Linux. It updated the database engine for the arcade stuff. Remember, what we have to remember about when you download something off the internet and it's usually an image, the image is only as good as when it was put up there on the internet. And it's probably been up there on the internet for about a good 8 months. And so there's 8 months of Mr. Updates. So yeah, stupid me asked a stupid question. Did you use update all? Of course he did. So it was a stupid question. And then I just went through a few games just to make sure they worked, and they did. So that was all good news. That's my week. Yeah, like I said, uneventful, but some interesting bits of information in there. Maybe, some people will be screaming, going, what did you do it like that for? But I don't care. At the end of the day, nothing's broken, everything's working, so I'm happy. So we'll move on, shall we? We'll go to the next bit, which, as you all know, is the shout-outs. And I love the shout-outs. It's the bit where I say thank you to all my friends for leaving a comment, seeing how I am. It makes me feel wanted and needed. Two of the emotions that I feel everybody needs to have. You're only as good as the community that you interact with, and at the moment I only really interact with my mother, or what I call the septic pool of work at the moment, which hopefully will change when I go back after my operation. They've assured me it will. So that's to be seen. But, I'm not thinking of that at the moment. I'm thinking of myself, my health. They do whatever they need to do. I'll worry about that when I go back. No need worrying about something that's 5 or 6 weeks away. Or more. Because remember, I've got to go in for another angioplasty 5th of November. So anyway, thanks to everybody, and the people that I'm going to mention now are the ones that left comments. In no particular order they are: Denny, Ian Hill the Ramblings, Steve's Gaming, Colin Jones aka Ponder, Frank Holder, LFC Gamer and Vlogs, Gans Teeth, Muckman-Movies, Martroid, Carl Todd, Down the Rabbit Hole, Wee Bob Art, And Rocket Bunny, every single one of those, thank you so much. I'm going to read out your comments now. If there's any questions, I'm going to try and answer them. But to everybody that watches anyway, thank you so much. I mean, I do know that there are probably people out there that are long-term watchers that don't like to comment. They just like to listen to somebody else's week. Absolutely appreciate that. Long may you continue to do so. We're going on a journey together. And this started off as an experiment that's turned into something that a real joy for me to do each week. Plus everything I do during the week is absolute pleasure. So thank you so much. So we'll head now into the questions. They're not in any particular order. The first one that comes up is Carl Todd. Carl says, "Hi Del, I hope that you've had a better week this week." Yes, I think you can probably tell I have. "I hope your mum is feeling better too." Yeah, you know what? I didn't talk too much about my mum, but she's been looking out the window and she's been to the hairdressers, and I've been cooking her meals, and she's been watching the soaps, and with the weather being out, she has gone out to the front and watch people going into the post office and chats to people while they're queuing and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, my mother's not in bad spirits, and of course the one thing I think I've mentioned is that I was worried a little bit about her coughing, which I was just been doing just then. But hers was a hacking cough, terrible, and it was obviously it's a remnants of that COVID and bad ear infection and everything that she had 5 to 6 weeks period. You know, the week before I had my heart attack. Actually, it's been going on ever since. So I bought some honey from the Sainsbury's during a walk during the week, not on the Friday when I did the big shopping. And she's been having a teaspoon of that every, like in the morning, and then one at lunchtime, and then one in the evening. And the coughing's sort of like really going away. It's much better. The lockets weren't really helping too much. I didn't expect them to, really. Cheap sweets. Well, when I say cheap, 85 pence a packet. Bloody hell. But how much honey is inside them sweets? Bollocks. Hardly anything. Christ, it wouldn't coat a bloody your little nail on your finger. So yeah, a little, not a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a little teaspoon of honey down your throat. Brilliant, absolutely marvelous. Of course, it's got a little bit of sugar as well, so that's good because she's not eating fantastically well, but a lot better. So you continue. "I've been enjoying seeing you play the games that people have requested. I've not heard you mention it, but the new Penguin TV show is off to a good start. It's like The Sopranos, but in Gotham." I have actually mentioned it. I did actually mention it the week it came out, because it was also the week that Agatha, the Marvel show, came out on Disney. And I happened to mention that I thought it was like a DC version of Goodfellas, really. So you mentioned The Sopranos, I mentioned Goodfellas. Potatoes, tomatoes, next to nothing thing. It's a gangstery thing. It's quite good. The second episode I thought was equally as good as the first episode. I enjoyed the first episode. I did mention that the trouble with these shows is the end. He will become the Penguin. So, a bit like Gotham, where we know that Bruce Wayne will don the Batman suit at the end. Agatha is a different beast, because that one is a story where you don't know the end. You don't know what's going to happen to Agatha. You don't know whether Wanda's going to be in it, the Vision's going to be in it, where it connects with everything that's going on in the Marvel universe. So one is enjoying the journey, which is Penguin, and the other one is enjoying the story, which is Agatha. And depending on your take on witchcraft and all of this sort of stuff, your enjoyment will differ. Just like in Penguin, if you're not into gangstery type films, crime, violence, your enjoyment is probably going to be less so. Do you see what I mean? I like both shows, although I will say this. I watched the third episode of Agatha and I did not like it. The first episode I liked. The second episode was not as good, but it was okay. And I liked, and it was clever with what it was trying to do. The third episode, no. It really was a drop in quality from my point of view. But I've heard the fourth one is slightly better. I always give things a go. I don't drop off just because of one episode. It has to really, really offend me for me to stop, or I lose interest because the story just wasn't for me. And there have been shows like that. But I hope that gives you your answer. I have mentioned the Penguin. I am enjoying it. I think that the journey that I'm going to be going on that one is going to be a fun one. So that's good. Just bear with me a moment. There we go. So you then carry on. You've got a few questions. Okay. So what are your favourite games that are based on movies, TV shows? And I can tell you now, when I'm looking at that question, I've never really enjoyed games based around movies and TV shows. I mean, on the Commodore 64, we've had Blockbusters, Mike Reed's Pop Quiz, Mastermind, all of those quiz crap. And then we've had stuff from Elite, like The Fall Guy. And we've had stuff from Ocean, like Knight Rider and Street Hawk, and third-party crap like the A-Team and Airwolf and all that sort of stuff. They've been pretty shitty. And then when you get to the PC, there have been a mix. There's been Games of Thrones and Starship Troopers and all that sort of stuff. You know, like real-time strategy or role-playing games and all that sort of stuff. Slightly better, but, you know, I think they rely on the IP, you know, the intellectual property, to sell the game without putting much thought into it. But anyway, let's have a little look and see whether I can think of anything that really comes to mind. A little bit difficult. I mean, I've mentioned some already. Starship Troopers came out last year as a real-time strategy. That was all right. That's a film-based one. I've always liked the Alien games on the PC. They've been pretty good. On the console, they've been a bit mixed. Even the Commodore 64 early Alien games actually weren't bad for the year that they came out. I've enjoyed the console Spider-Man and Batman games, and those are movies. And of course, how can you forget on the Commodore 64 Ghostbusters when it came out? It was one of the first movie tie-in type games that I bought, and it came out. It was a game that I played at Christmas, 84, I think. The film, I think, came out in the autumn, where it was in the summer in the States. So it tied in really well. And I think Staff of Karnaf came out close to that, but that weren't a film time. But I was just letting you know I bought that along with Ghostbusters, or very in the autumn of that year. Although that could have been 85, actually. Staff of Karnaf, I think it was. Anyway, Ghostbusters 84, definitely a game that I played at the Christmas. Over the years, animated shows like Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, I've played those on SNES and Mega Drive, and I remember thinking, that animation's nice, or the music in that is just like the TV show, you know, especially like Animaniacs or Tiny Toons on the SNES, because the sound chip in the SNES was really, really good at the time. So that was great. And of course, in the arcades, I've liked the Simpsons and Turtles machines. They've been fun. They've been not bad. And I suppose you could say that many Disney games like Lion King and everything have been good. Now, I'm not going to say I like those games because I haven't, but I have seen enjoyment in them, and I've been impressed by the animation in them and the sound in them. But they're all much ado the same. Platform, leaping, throwing apples, throwing, in Quackshot you fire a sucker gun, Mickey throws apples, so does Aladdin. I don't know what you threw in Lion King, but you leapt and sort of fought other little creatures and shit. There was Tarzan and all of this. They all platform, and I'm not into that. So yeah. TV, I've played Doctor Who games. I can't think of one great one. Maybe a Lego one might spring to mind. But I do remember playing a BBC version of Doctor Who, which was really pretty poor, but I played it. And I played a Doctor Who one on the Amiga much later on, which again was a platform shooting thing, which the Doctor with a gun doesn't seem right. So I don't understand it really. And then, of course, I love the Star Trek games. Now, I've played Star Trek games even in the arcade. A bit like Star Raiders, you warp to certain zones, kill off the Klingons, protect a space station ad infinitum. And I've played those conversions onto the VIC-20 even. That's how far back they went. It had some good speech in the Sega arcade game, of Star Trek. And there have been Star Trek games through the years, mostly strategy games. The only real worst, really bad one that I can remember was something called Away Team, where you beamed down to a planet and did little puzzly. It was shit, basically. Looked great, shit. I liked all the tactical command things and all of that sort of stuff. Those were great. You can't not talk about Star Wars. There's been a glut of those. And for the majority, they were great. But standouts are things like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Yeah. A little bit later on, I liked that pod racing that was in the Phantom Menace. That was quite good. Which even was good enough for it to actually have an arcade machine made. But it was actually made for a home audience, I believe, first. And I've played some shitty horror things like Elvira and stuff on the Amiga. All titillation type things. Elvira's obviously dressed sexually. Sexily. So, So, no, I've never been a big fan of TV, animation, and film game tie-ins. I remember, the Fall Guy and all of that. No. Knight Rider, no. You continue. Is there a movie or TV show that you would like to see a game of? And if so, what type of game would it be? Going back to the first one, I've never really liked TV to game stuff. I suppose if I was thinking about it, and this might have been done, I loved the film War Games with Matthew Broderick about global thermonuclear war. And I think it was actually done in other names. SSI brought out loads of strategy war games. And I believe there was a vector type game that was close to it that was on a very, literally 15 or so, 16 years ago, which I really liked. Can't remember what it was called, though, because we're talking 16 years ago. But that was nice. Thought that was okay. So war games would work quite well. The Last Starfighter actually did get a game made. Can't really talk about that. Batteries not included. Explorers, no. Cocoon, no. E.T. has been done. Atari. I think if I'd really like to see a sort of like another Defender of the Crown, but done more like the Game of Thrones, because the Game of Thrones games try to do that, but they've all missed the mark. All missed the mark. Absolute shite games. They look more like they were designed for a mobile phone. So I'd like a really good Game of Thrones or House of Dragon game. See, you mentioned The Sopranos earlier, and I was thinking gangster, but I've played all that Untouchables crap that came out, which got good reviews, but I was never impressed with them. All that rescuing the baby, and then you're in a warehouse jumping from crate to crate, shooting things and all that sort of stuff. Nah, bollocks. I think I've mentioned enough. I like real-time strategy stuff, so Starship Troopers hits the mark for me. We've had RoboCop. That was not too bad, actually, the one that came out last year. But I think we've done it all. Life Force might be a good game, based around vampire and space. That'd be good. Aren't many good horror films. Well, there is. We've had Splatterhouse and we've had Evil Dead and all of that sort of stuff. And the latest Evil Dead wasn't bad, but it was an online game. Let's have a single player Evil Dead game that would be good. Around horror, Halloween. Yeah. So, not again a very good answer for you, but I think the first one gave you more information than the second one. And the third one, I saw the new Joker movie yesterday, and I'm sure I'm going to be it's going to be very divisive. It's much of a music than I think many people expect. You did put that, didn't you? It's much of a music, yeah, than I think many people expect. So my question is, do you like musicals? If so, what are your favourites? Actually, I had that question a couple of weeks ago. I think my favourite musical, if I think really hard, is Little Shop of Horrors. Probably more because of the comedy element. But I do like actually the songs, Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, The Dentist, Skid Row. They were all quite good. Childhood musicals of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, all fantastic musicals. But I've never really been big on musicals. I never really liked West Side Story and all of that sort of stuff. Cats, all that. They're good on the theatre. I've never really thought they work as film. I never really liked That Greatest Showman, which had Hugh Jackman in it. Nah, not interested in circuses. I went the only musical I've seen which was based around a circus was my mother took me to see Barnum just before I was a teenager, and it had Michael Crawford in it. We went to London for that, and I went to the theatre production of Chess, which had ABBA singing. That was good, but again, there's been no film of that, and I'm happy about that. But it works on a stage. Doesn't necessarily work in cinema. But I've given you some good ones there. Little Shop of Horrors, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, all classics. Fantastic. And that's the end. And thank you very much for your questions. Absolutely fantastic, Carl. That's brilliant of you. Really appreciate it. And I hope I answered your questions well. And we get to my mate Denny. Oh my God, hang on. I need a drink. Actually, it's not too long this week. So it goes, hiya mate, hope this week has been a better one for you and your mother. It has. Thank you very much, my friend. Christmas and all rail workers. I knew that this one was coming because, well, you'll see. Can I just say, people need to understand that a fair few of us work over the full period, and I have to work Christmas Day sometimes. My advice is to plan ahead if you want to go out. Understand, we'd like to enjoy the festive period too, but can't sometimes, so don't expect anyone to be overly enthusiastic if anyone's being pissy over services to get them home if they're Rude. That extends to care workers, hospital staff, and taxi drivers. Yeah. I didn't mean to come across pissy or anything. And I spoke to Denny and he said, no, that's not aimed at you or anything. I read out a news article that said that there's going to be rail works done over the Christmas period at the three of the busiest stations. And my mind instantly thought about the poor travellers trying to get home Christmas Eve, and finding that all the rail works have started and they can't get home. Of course, I'm thinking of also the workers that have to work. I mean, they don't want to be there. They want to be having their roast turkey and potatoes just like anybody else, and are having to work Christmas Day because nothing stops. The world keeps turning, and the city's lights are still on. So of course there are people that are working, and I didn't really state that sort of side of things when I read out the article. So of course I'm thinking of you, Denny, working Christmas Day and all of that sort of stuff. I probably won't be thinking about it till you remind me the week of Christmas, where you'll be saying, oh, I've been sidelined and I've got to work Christmas Day and all that. But I honestly will be thinking of you if that's happening. Christmas can be sometimes the better for people going to work there. Otherwise, they'll be spending it alone, with a frozen dinner that they've had to microwave and all of that sort of stuff. Christmas is one of those times that's very divisive in regards to what people will be doing. I tend to find it a very lonely time. I remember last Christmas, it was probably one of the worst. I sent a present to a friend, but that friend couldn't open it until 3 days later. So that would have been nice to have had a chat and talk about that present. I remember that certain sides of my family were getting text messages like virtually every half hour, and my phone was virtually dead. Nothing happening, no calls coming through, no texts coming through, and I was watching all the crap that you'd get on TV. My mother wasn't well enough to do the Christmas dinner by herself, so I helped. And I was still going for my walk then, so all I did really was go for my walk, help my mum with the dinner, make sure she was comfortable, and then watch crap TV, with very little chat and talking going on. Yeah. But anyway, I'll be thinking about you, matey, if that is happening to you this year. And sorry that I didn't sort of like talk about the other side of things. You continue, shame about Maggie Smith. Her films did nothing for me really, except from time to time, based on the children's novel The Chimneys of Green. No, adapted by Julian Fellows for the big screen. It's best viewed at Christmas, one not to miss. I'll have to look for that one. I can't remember that one. The Chimneys of Green. No. Yeah. You continue, really enjoying your series taking requests from friends. Yeah, I bet you are, because you're one of the friends that give me the bloody games, and you're a right sod giving me really difficult ones. Now I'm only joking with you. No, you're really enjoying the series taking requests from friends. Hopefully you'll go another round. Love seeing all these gems I missed from the past. It's funny you should mention that, because I've got a couple more that I've got to do for round 3. It is actually me asking my friends for games, but there have been a couple of people saying, if you do get round to it being open-ended, can you do this game? And I've had a couple of those. So I might do a bonus extra round of those particular people. And then I will make the choice on doing a round 4. Because as you know, I'm 5-6 weeks away from an operation. And then I've got another 2 weeks after that to recover from that. So it makes perfect sense to keep doing it, but I don't know whether all my friends will want to. Me having to keep bugging them and turning around and saying, can you think of another game? They must get really pissed off. So I have to think about that as well, which is why I said last week, please let me know what you think about games. and me doing this new series, because I was hoping that the people that I've been asking will also turn around and say, oh no, we're really enjoying suggesting a game for you. Because I don't want to come across as the, oh, come on, you've asked me 4 times. Bugger off now, I can't think of any more. Because then I lose one of those friends and it shortens it and all sorts of stuff. You know, at the moment, if I do Steve's Gaming as the first game, I know the 7th one is me asking him his second game, and the 14th one is me asking his third game, and so forth. And that won't work if they drop out. And I must admit, I do like the form version of it. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'll keep going as best as I can. You say Bob Monkhouse, yes, a consummate professional. Whatever he turned his hand to. Let's not forget his love for Laurel and Hardy and his passion for collecting films. Just hope after his death the films were looked after by restorers. Yeah, totally agree with that. Nice question from Steve, I think that came from, for the Bob Monkhouse thing. You continue, I had a $6 million man figure and the transport repair station. Extremely expensive now, even in a poor state on eBay. Oh, I bet. Along with Evil Knievel and the rest. Anything for moolah, you know what I mean? You continue. Thanks for answering my question. Most follow your suggestions. For me, it was Star Wars. They blew me away. I was 10 at the time in 1977. Next was Tron. Wow, this film still stands up today with its effects. Up next, Jurassic Park. Texture mapping was amazing on the skin. And finally, The Lord of the Rings. Since then, nothing has filled me with the same astonishment as those productions. And every single one of those, matey, blew me away. Yeah, of course, I'm a big fan of Tron. Star Wars, what can you say about 1977 and Star Wars coming out? Jurassic Park, I happen to mention. Lord of the Rings was an accomplishment. 3 films in, what was it, 3 years? And you can just imagine the post-production and everything that went on with that. It was a good film. The ones I mentioned happen to be more probably model-based than CGI. Can't remember quite how the question was worded, but I'm bound sure to have mentioned 2001 and stuff like that. Anyway, you continue. So my question for this week: what film and games do you put on to cheer yourself up during a low moment? Oh God. Quite easy actually to answer that, because I love the Kentucky Fried Movie and Amazon Women on the Moon. They're 2 films very close to each other, which are not films really. They are just sketches stitched together into a film. And those little sketches just make me laugh. There is on Amazon Women on the Moon. There is a sketch called Bad Day, and I've shown this a number of times, even as part of my blog, where a man gets back into his hotel. He's been away for some time. He puts his bag down. He goes into the phone rings, and he says, "Sorry, you got the wrong number. There's no Thelma here." And then goes into the kitchen, gets a sandwich that is ready made into the out of the fridge, and bites into it, and it's rank. You know, it's stale and horrible, and he chucks it into the waste. You know, the waste machine. You know, one of those electronic waste machines that are in the sink. He opens a can and it explodes in his face. You know, all the foam and that is all over his face. He dries his face off, but then needs to use the water, and he turns the water on, and of course the waste disposal unit turns on, and it cuts his tie, and he's basically being dragged down to his death, you know, being choked to death, and then he manages to just switch it off, thinking, oh, this is just really bad in here, I think I'll go and relax in the living room. He puts a video into the video machine, and it ejects out and smacks him in the face. He puts the plug in and nearly electrocutes himself, and finally sits down with the remote, turns the telly on, blows up. And it just goes on and on and on. And I watched that clip so many times because it tells me there are people that are having far worse days than you. And it just makes me smile every time. And then, of course, there's all the stuff that just make me feel good. I watch Star Trek the Motion Picture when I want to be in a good place. And I watch Planes, Trains and Automobiles because John Candy and Steve Martin and that film just make me laugh. And there are countless Laurel and Hardy films that I'll watch, like Music Box and that sort of stuff, which just make me smile, put me in a happy place. So, yeah. There's a number of films, matey, and thanks very much. It's a brilliant question. I hope you have your own selection of films that cheer you up, because I know that you've not had the best year like I haven't. So thank you very much and salute, my friend, and we move on to Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Let's see what Ian's got to say. This is the person that I have a chat with every Wednesday, live stream. Please go and check his channel. Absolutely brilliant. And he's put, "Hi, Dowboy. I hope you're getting by. I know it's a matter of just waiting. I hope that it goes by quickly. When you have that procedure, then it will make a big difference to your life. You will be able to enjoy the things you love doing." Yeah, that's the plan. Thanks very much, matey. Love our live together on Wednesdays. Always enjoy doing it, and you make me laugh such a lot. Good to see your game challenges are doing well. Hoping your channel will grow more. You deserve that. Thank you. Yeah, I would like my channel to grow. It is on a sort of like stagnant part at the moment, but I do love every day thinking about what's that game going to be that I'm going to be playing today that my friend has suggested. And I do like looking forward to the chats. And I do like doing film capsule reviews. And I do like thinking abstract, like abstract way of, oh, that'd be good to do as a new series or whatever. YouTube has become that sort of like buddy, the camera has become your friend sort of thing. And I think it'd be a big yank to take that away. So thank you very much. Yeah, I look forward to doing that, and maybe the channel will grow. I hope it does. Just in that's in the air, and it's down to people liking and subscribing, I guess. I've been watching some great crime dramas and from the 50s and 60s, which was sent to me by Tony. So, you're a bastard, really, because you keep mentioning that you get these free bloody gifts from your subscribers. You miserable bastard. No, I'm only joking. Tony's a great bloke, and he was the one that I suggested become an admin for your site for when we're doing the chat. So I'm so glad that you got that great relationship between yourself and Tony. So many of these black and white British films are gems. Just love seeing the locations and forces of actors you recognise. And in film heaven, I'm in heaven watching these. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks. I can imagine what it's like going through a big box of stuff that somebody sent you. You've got a big set of crime thrillers. You're going, oh, crime. I haven't watched those in a long time. Putting them in boxes, putting them in your player, watching them and going, wow, what a gem. Never heard of that one. Fantastic. We all love and long for those days where we get something that nobody else has ever heard of and then telling our friends what a gem it was. So, yeah, I mean, those are the days that I long for. You see what I mean? My question this week is, what films surprised you when you watched them and had no expectations on them? Oh, Christ. I suppose there's been quite a few, and quite a few that will be a surprise. I knew nothing about The Sixth Sense when I went into it, so the ending was a surprise. However, I've not liked rewatching it. And I haven't liked rewatching it because I know the ending. It really is a first time watch and done film, which therefore shortens its shelf life. So yeah, you have to be careful when you're writing a film like The Sixth Sense, because they can be absolute masterpieces, but then won't have any subsequent rewatch value. I certainly have no need or want to go and watch that film again. And the last time I watched it was 15, 16 years ago. Yeah. No need. I know what the ending is. Yeah. Now, believe it or not, I was very little when I saw Jaws. So again, low expectations. My father would be saying, "You're going to watch a film about a fish." Am I? Fish? Well, shark. Oh, bit better then. Man-eating shark. Oh, feel a bit better now. Watched it. Fantastic. Absolute fantastic film. But on paper, if you're a child like I was, doesn't read like anything. I've not read the novel. I know nothing about it. I just know a big fishy shark is terrorizing a seaside. Great. You know, when I think about the films that might have been on around that time, there were probably far more exciting films, car chases and stuff that I wanted to see over a shark. So, but what an exceptional film Jaws turned out to be. When it comes to the Marvel Universe, there are very little surprises, but X-Men First Class, I had very, very low expectations on. Oh, another X-Men film. Oh, they've rebooted it and got totally new actors in. Oh, it's when they were younger. Oh, all the things that, that switch you off if you're, a person that likes fantasy or stuff around comic books. But wow, what a film. And it had the Cuban Missile Crisis in it, everything. I mean, it told the story how Professor X was wheelchair bound. Oh, it had an awful lot in it, and the performances were absolutely fantastic. So X-Men First Class comes to mind. And I suppose to some extent, because of the length of time, Mad Max Fury Road surprised me. That's the best Mad Max since the second Mad Max film. So I wasn't a fan of Thunderdome at all. And when I heard that there was going to be another Mad Max film, and it was years and years later, I went, "Oh, it's gonna be a car wreck." Haha, pun intended. But I watched it. Brilliant. And I even went to the cinema and watched the black and white version. That was even better. Loved it in black and white. And I've bought that on steelbook, and it's been in a collection and all sorts of stuff. Great. Certainly woke me up that a film can come along that is part of a franchise from years back and can have fresh ideas that actually work, and you can get great entertainment value out of it. And I keep thinking, I wish Hollywood would take note of those types of films and what made it work, and then try and do that with their films that they're trying to bring back. Because I've seen some corking, awful films this year, last year, and the year before, based on bringing back a film IP, and it was atrocious. You know what I mean? It was more of the same, worse, or whatever. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope that gave you some answers on there. And I'm just going to splash my face with a bit of water. I've been talking now for about an hour and 20 minutes. We're going down this quite quickly. So I'll just be a few minutes, but for you it'll be a second. And I'm back, and that was, like I say, second for you. So thanks for waiting. And we move on to Steve's Gaming. And my mate Steve, I always do my salute to Steve. Steve, absolute brilliant. Thank you very much for your friendship. You bastard. Fucking ain't you really? You git. No, he knows full well how much I feel about him. Brilliant guy. Got a great channel. Please go and watch that. Sub if you can. And he's put, "Hi Dal, sorry for the low comment this time, mate. The last few days have been dreadful for me mentally, and I'm not feeling well anyway, which doesn't help. I did watch the blog on Sunday as usual and enjoyed it. I was so angry that the hospital are treating you so badly, and that guy on the phone sounded like he didn't give a shit. No, he didn't. Simon, his name was. He should have been apologising to you for their balls up. One question, matey, and it's this. If someone held a gun to your head and said, Del, you need to pick games or films, you can no longer own both. Pick one for the rest of your life. Which do you give up forever, gaming or films? I think I know your answer, but I may be wrong. Take care, matey, and love to your mum." What a great question. I got to think now. I'm probably going to go with gaming. That might be a shock to a lot of people. Films are very versatile, but nothing is as versatile as gaming, where you interact. The ability to have, even now, a story narrative that you can interact with is great, in certain aspects. But in the early days, it was, how far can I get in this game? What score can I get in this game? And we've moved so far from Pong and those early sort of like little line games to huge behemoth story driven games, that the versatility has not waned in all those years. It's also a newer medium when you consider that film has been around for 100 years plus. I think, what is it now? It's like 126 years, something like that. And although films and TV is a great fun and passion of mine, and it's so versatile, each time there's a different story and a different set of characters for me to get with, I am really just watching and going on the journey, where games is the journey and you interact with it. So I think gaming, matey, if I really had to choose, but I'll tell you what, it'd be a bloody hard decision. Jesus, yeah. Fantastic question, matey. Thank you. I do wish you well for this week. I do know what some of those things are that are going on in your life. I hope I've given you some help and some hope that things will get better. I'm always here for you if you need to chat, matey. And thanks very much, you bastard. And thanks very much for all your game suggestions. Absolute wonderful question. Thank you so much. And we move to Colin Jones, aka Ponder, my friend Colin, who always corrects me on everything I get wrong. And I get it wrong a lot. Which is why he comments every week, I'm sure. But another person with a great channel that I'm so happy is in my life for me to have chats with and a friendship with. And he's put, I know why major rail works are done over Christmas. Most TOCs don't run services on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, but 8 days means really big works. He continues, repeat medication is an absolute nightmare here too in Wales. Yeah, it is everywhere. I'm just explaining really what's going on in my life, and totally get that. And you've put, oh, for FFS, for fuck's sake. You really don't need this extra stress with changing the operation date. Yeah, it was a big rug pull um, in my life, really, last week. You say battle beneath the earth, tunnel boring lasers that look like headlights. Absolute classic. Yeah, brilliant. Bone conducting headphones are great, especially for cycling, as you can still hear everything around you. Even when walking, they're excellent as they don't turn you deaf to the outside world. Maybe if on public transport, in or over earphones are better, but for outdoors, I don't think they can be beaten. And like I say, it's great that you've mentioned that because I've never tried the bone ones. I do know that noise cancellation is much better now. Um, I speak and basically it opens up the mic and for the earpiece, and then when I stop talking, it closes. It is still a medium that I think is in its infancy, but it's getting better all the time, and these bone ones sound brilliant. StreamYard are, to be blunt, taking the piss. Pure greed, nothing else. And like both of you, that's Mamemeister and myself, I hope it bites them on the arse. Yes, I do as well. I've cancelled. 26th of October is when it runs out. I won't be renewing. I'll be going to a free account. It is pure greed. Absolutely. And so therefore it gets to my question to you. Do you plan to go to any retro events next year? If so, which ones? Loads, matey. I've missed so much because of my heart that with work and my heart. And my mum, remember, who's 83 and I'm a carer for, has caused me to pretty much not be far away from home. But there is my sister that I'm getting along better with, who could possibly take over some of those chores. My heart will make it so that I can drive and do a lot more traveling. Hopefully my leg will improve. So all that stuff, Blackpool, going to Scotland, going to the Retro Man Cave, that computer museum, all open to me. Because the only thing I've done is the Zap event and Pinfest, and I've enjoyed my time with those. But all they've proved is that I want to do more. So yeah, that's going to be happening, matey, and I hope to see you at these events. We can have a chat and a pint. About time things like that happen. So salute, my friend. Keep doing all that you do. Brilliant. We move to Frank Holder. He says, hi, sorry to hear about your hospital appointment. That person didn't sound very understanding at all. No, he didn't. I hope things get better for you. Can I ask a question now? My first question is, I got Sequest DSV on Blu-ray yesterday. Did you like Sequest, or did you not see it? I loved Sequest, matey, when it first came out. I was sceptical about Darwin and that talking dolphin. But Roy Schneider is a wonderful actor, and I liked him. It was a Steven Spielberg sort of produced show. I liked the main theme to the show. Brilliant, really. I really ought to think about buying that on Blu-ray. I think Dennis I have the Sequest Blu-ray, bought it for one episode called Night of the Shadows, a definite one for Halloween. I'd buy it for more than just that, but yeah, I mean, Denny has actually said that he's bought it, he likes it, therefore I like science fiction TV stuff. It goes back to when I was watching it in the 80s and 90s. In this particular instance, it was the 90s. But I still thought it was a great show. So yeah, definitely. And then you've put, also I want to ask, where do you stand on colorizing old black and white films? Are you for or against? It's a little bit of both. I hated it when they colorized Laurel and Hardy. It looked bloody atrocious. And they colorized Scrooged as well and a load of others. But this was in the infancy of colorizing stuff. When it comes to Doctor Who, they've tried many methods of colorizing, some with better results than others. it's certainly better now. And colorizing those TV shows, although expensive and hit and miss, certainly do um, improve things, because you don't want an episode, a story that's 6 episodes in length and the first episode is in black and white and the rest in color. Obviously, the black and white original negative is sharper, and colorizing can sort of like make it a bit smeary and blurry. But on the most part, we're getting better and better at doing it, and those colorizations work. I'm a little bit against when it comes to films, but more pro for TV. If the show was colour in the first place and they've only got the black and white to do it, I don't like it if they try and colorise something that was naturally black and white in the first place. That's going from scratch, and I don't like that. I'd rather watch the black and white as it was originally intended. So it's a little bit of both, matey, and thanks very much. A brilliant question. Hope I answered it in a good way. So we move on, and we're getting to my friend LFC. Absolutely brilliant. I haven't heard from him in a long time, and I've missed his blogs. And he's got his own channel. Please go and have a look. It's still worth looking at those old blogs. They're still great. He's put, "Hi Del, as always, sending all my best wishes to both yourself and your mum. Hearing the shenanigans of your operation being pushed back boiled my piss. To be frank, so frustrated on your behalf. It's added stress that nobody should have to put up with. I am at least happy you've prioritised your well-being over work. Health comes first after all. Thank you so much." To have somebody turn around and say, "I've looked at the pros and cons and I agree with you, health is more important," means that I'm on the right track, I think. And I'm constantly trying to keep on the good side of well-being, be chipper, happier, more smiles, less frowns, all of that sort of stuff. I work on that every day. It's something that you have to work on every day. It's not something that you can do where you just say it at the beginning of the week and you don't say it to yourself for the rest. You have to remind yourself. Every day is a new day. You've mentioned to cheer you up from recent weeks. I'm back with more questions after a lack thereof in weeks. Prepare yourself. Oh my God. Yeah, he's got 4. Here we go. Gonna do badly, I can tell. In your endless supply of films, I wouldn't be at all shocked if you have at least one copy of the 1939 classic Gone with the Wind, whether it be on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray or 4K. Considering it's 85 years old, the cinematography is still incredible, and one I have to view at least twice a year, as it reminds me of my late Nan. It was one of her favourites. Oh, I don't see a question in there, but I can answer it, yeah. I was never a big fan of Gone with the Wind, but I do recognise its importance. Wizard of Oz, for me, is more of something that I will watch. Again, a film of equal importance, equal in how old it is. I think it's 85 years old as well. A film that starts off in black and white and goes to colour, and that colour is absolutely rich. My God. Gone with the Wind is like War and Peace. It's incredibly long. It's a love story. It's set in the South. It's about Rhett Butler, isn't it? That's right. Betty Davis was going to have the starring role, and she turned it down. Went to Scarlett O'Hara, didn't it? Or was that the character's name? Can't remember. But I recognise its importance, but I really don't watch it that often. I think I've seen it 3 times in the last 10 years. It's an enjoyable, good film, but just not one that I can watch over and over again. But I'm glad you do. Wizard of Oz, yeah, I can watch that over and over again. My God, it's a stay put film in our family. Number 2, you go, continuing film talk. What great movie, could be any genre, do you think the final 10 minutes ruin it? An example that jumps to my mind is The King and I, and it's Yul Brynner character. He suddenly feels unwell, then just deceases, and before you know it, there's the end credits. Such a disappointing end to a classical musical. I have trouble actually with musicals and things that turn to film anyway, because they don't tend to stray from the story. In the story, he dies, that's the end. In the theatre production, that works. In the film, it leaves you feeling empty. It's like, what? What have I just seen? Where's the happy ending, or where's the real sad ending? This just leaves me knowing that the characters carry on for the rest of their life, but one person that I've been following all the way through the film is dead. Hope you enjoyed the journey with the songs. Yeah. Films that disappointed me at the end. Talking about a recent film, and I haven't seen the ending, but possibly I'm not going to like it, is Joker 2. I've heard that the ending is very divisive. Some people say it works, other people say it don't. One of my great friends, Jamie, says it's a thought-provoking end, which means that you can look at it from many levels, and therefore is a great film because it's left him thinking when he's left the cinema. That's a great way of looking at it, isn't it? I think that's very healthy. But of course, I've heard so many, oh, that ending doesn't work, that it's intrigued me on knowing whether I would think the same. But I'll tell you one film that really I hated the ending of, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. My God. Big spaceship flies off. There they are on the top of this crater. Roll credits. Oh shit. Oh. There's a lot wrong with Indiana Jones. It is again about the journey, and it was quite enjoyable apart from nuclear bombs going off and being protected by a freezer, all sorts of crap like that going on. But it's got some actiony moments that really you like, and it's got those story trappings where you've got a friend who's evil but then great, and on your side then evil again, and all of that sort of stuff. It's all right. But another film that I remember seeing the end of that I didn't quite like was the Simon Pegg's World End. That one where he's got to go and do his drinking spree when he was a teenager that he never finished, and all of these aliens have taken over his hometown. Yeah, it's what they call the Cornetto trilogy. And the end was just him entering a bar, and a big fight seems to ensure, and then it's the credits. Yeah, crap ending. Simon Pegg could do so much better than that. So there's a couple of films. 3. What are some of your favourite shoot 'em ups on the Mega Drive? And I know there's many brilliant titles. I'll list a few of mine. Thunder Force 4, Truxton, Zero Wing, and even though I do slightly prefer the Amiga version, Battle Squadron, which also deserves a mention. Yeah, I love Battle Squadron. I like the Amiga one. I was never a big Mega Drive owner though, matey. I have played shoot 'em ups on the Mega Drive through emulation. I have played Thunder Force 4. What a great game that is. I have played Truxton as well. Great. Ones I did play on the Mega Drive was Mega Swiv. Again, Swiv I enjoyed more on the Amiga, but the Mega Drive version isn't bad. Again, Smash TV is an arcade game which did really well on the Commodore 64 and the Amiga, but I played it on the Mega Drive, and that was really nice as well. And there was a game called Musha, Musha. It stands for something, I'm pretty sure. That's a horizontally scrolling game, a little bit like Swiv, a little bit like Battle Squadron, but it was done very well. No flickering, sound is quite good and loud, and music isn't bad at all. But I've never been a big Mega Drive owner, so I'm sorry that I've only given about 3 titles there. But there are many, many great shoot 'em ups because I had a SNES, And the SNES wasn't well known for its shoot 'em ups. It had some great ones, don't get me wrong. Axlay was brilliant. Super Aleste I played the other day on the SNES, and I enjoyed my time with that. Um, it had a lot of titles that were converted from others. I think it had no, the Mega Drive had Viewpoint, didn't it? I don't think the SNES did. So Viewpoint is another one for the Mega Drive. There's another then for you. But going back, the SNES wasn't great at shoot 'em ups, and R-Type had so much slowdown. I believe there are hacks that get rid of that slowdown now. But yeah, not its forte was shoot 'em ups on the SNES, and that was the console that I did have a Mega Drive, don't get me wrong. I had it because of Spider-Man and that, but I sold it within about a year and a half. I played Altered Beast and Sonic the Hedgehog and all the early stuff like Golden Axe and Space Harrier. It, like I say, it got to a certain point and I got rid of it, and the rest has been played for emulation. And number 4, is there a particular favourite meal that instantly takes you back to your child and something you still enjoy to this day? Having fish fingers, chips and beans to me is like taking a time machine back to the 90s and early 2000s. And oh yes, only take fish fingers away and put sausages there. Sausage, chips and beans. Oh my God, nectar of the gods. But I also liked it when my mum made from scratch a toad in the hole. Toad in the hole chips and beans. Oh yeah. And of course I used to love Yorkshire puddings on a roast dinner. But sausage, chips and beans, yeah. Takes me straight back. And that's the end of your questions, matey. And thank you so much. My pleasure to answer those for you. I hope I did okay. So looking forward to you coming back. But when you're ready, no, not any earlier. And thank you, my friend. Salute to you. Moving forward, we're getting towards the end now. We get to Gan's teeth. He says, sorry to hear your operation was pushed back a month. Putting off the job promotion stuff sounds sensible. Yeah, I mean, I think it was the only thing I could possibly do. Sad, but I think it was the only option. There's going to be other opportunities, matey. It's definitely extra stress you don't want in your life right now. As you say, there will be another time. I agree that the effects in 2001 A Space Odyssey continue to amaze. It does, the model work in that. Trumbull did those. He also designed the refitted Enterprise and did a lot of work on Space 1999. In terms of TV model work, I think Space 1999 holds up well. Yeah, you've said that. UFO does as well, matey. UFO's a great show. Go and ask Steve. My God, he's a huge fan of that. The original Battlestar Galactica has great effects, but they recycled shots a lot. Yeah, seeing those cruisers coming in freeze, firing, and all they did was mirror the shot. So they came in from the right or from the left. And it's an old Corman trick, Roger Corman. Yeah, but even then, great effects for the time. Those big heavy cruisers coming in. You can see the film where they cut it out, you know, where it's over the top of another optical effect behind it. But for 1978, 79, Glenn A. Larson, with his lack of money, did a pretty good job. And then, of course, it came back, didn't it, in the 2000s? And everybody was in amazement at that. Weird different type of effects in that. He used to do these long shots, then zoom in, and you can see the little ship going past the big one. And it looked weird. But you go, oh, that was a good effect. That looks amazing. So, yeah, I mean, two minds about that one. But, yeah, Battlestar Galactica, it's got a pedigree. Thank you so much for your statement and comment and wishing me well. Absolutely brilliant. I hope you're enjoying the blogs. And we move to my mate Muckman-Movies, who's just put one line. He's put, I used to own The Three Fugitives on VHS. It also stars Nick Nolte. It does indeed. Agreed, it's an underrated comedy. It definitely is. Nick Nolte comes out of prison. And he was in prison for robbing banks. And when he comes off of prison, which is on an island, by the way, he gets a boat across. The police are there waiting for him, going, you're not going to do anything bad or anything, are you? And he says, "No, I'm not. Can you drive me to the bank, please?" Because he needs to cash his check, but he makes it think, "Oh yeah, I'm going to rob a bank straight after coming out." And then Martin Short comes in, robs a bank, and they think it's Nick Nolte that's robbing the bank because he is a bank robber. A great comedy, one that's hardly ever talked about. It's on DVD, not on Blu-ray, not on 4K. So many films I want on Blu-ray and 4K. One of them is The Edge with Anthony Hopkins. Absolute fantastic film. One of my favourite scores by Jerry Goldsmith. Keep mentioning Jerry Goldsmith, don't I? But wow, what a man. And what a composer. Jesus. The Edge. Yeah, I'd love that. 4K on that. Wow. About a big grizzly bear going after people that have crash landed when the plane hits a flock of seagulls. Brilliant film. Anyway, I'm digressing here. Thank you very much, Muckman. Salute to you. Keep doing your stuff. So impressed with your steelbooks, matey. As soon as I know your address, I'm round your house nicking them. As simple as that. They're mine. Of course, send the police round to say you've just been robbed. I know who's got them. They'll be in a lockup. You won't be getting them back. My little joke to you. But anyway, on to the next question, or the next statement from Martroid. He has put, oh, and it's got read more. Sorry, hang on. Martroid, I was generally elated when you first mentioned that you were going for a management position at your work, Dell, but then so deflated when you brought up your appointment being moved yet again. How frustrating for you. Having said that, you're completely right to choose your health over work. Our time here on this little blue and green sphere is limited but precious. So good for you, for your gameplay. Limited but precious. So good for you. As for your game playing series, I personally think it's one of the best things you've done. And the selection of games played so far have been Czar Jazz too. Czar Jazz, what a great, I haven't said that in a long time. Czar Jazz, brilliant. Please keep it going if you can. And I'm always more than happy to contribute. Cheers, bud. Yeah, you've been giving me you give me a title every round. Every single one of yours has been great. I loved Repton. And you gave me Pogo Joe just this Friday. Absolutely fantastic. I had a great time with that. Thank you so much. You're in each round, so look out for another one. Please let me know if I'm bothering you by asking you for another game. It seems very much like you're happy to continue, but I don't want to bother you or pester you if you're finding it difficult to come up with a game. I know there are 40 or 50,000 games you can choose from, but you know, you got to think on your feet and go, oh, what game? And oh, would he like that one? Oh, just choose one. If you think it's hard, great. I'm sure I'll piss it up and bloody break it and not do a good job, but that's the fun, isn't it? Making me suffer. I know Steve likes to make me suffer, miserable bastard. Anyway, thank you so much and salute to you, sir. And we move on to Down the Rabbit Hole. And he's put, I've heard good things about this UFO 50 game, Dell. Is it only on the PC? No PlayStation version as far as I can see. Yes, at the moment, matey, it is. Then again, we have tons coming out already, such as the Atari 50th anniversary. Just got a pile of downloadable content. I was quite looking forward to the 70s Atari football arcade game as part of that DLC. But after just like the original game, it's 2-player only. As a result, I'm less enthused. If a game comes out needing couch co-op, then it usually gets a pass from me. How about yourself? Yes, couch co-op. I don't have anybody come round, matey. I have got 2 controllers just in case, but no, nobody turns up and plays. I did answer this. I don't know quite what I put. Hi, buddy. I believe it's only a Steam game PC at the moment, but I bet it won't be long before it's on Switch and other consoles, as it's a game that begs to at least be on the Switch with the type of games you get of the 50 available. It's sort of like 50 NES games, but ones you might not see, like tower defense and strategy games, amongst other things. Steve from Steve's Gaming has done a video on the first 4 games, actually the first 8, 9, 10 games now, I think. What I can tell you is that 50 games, and the story uh, is about a coding team designing games for a new computer they found in 1982, and then wrote games all the way up to 1987. And this is their journey from simple first games to technical marvels in its 50th game. Quite a cool concept, really. Excelsior, sir, yes. So I gave him a little bit of background knowledge on the UFO 50 game. Steve is doing a little series on it. He's done the first, I think, 14 or so games of the 50. He's hoping that he'll find 5 games that are at least good. I'm hoping he finds more, but it is variable on what you think, because the games do look very much like NES games. And if you never had an NES, or you don't like that look, then the games just aren't going to gel with you. There's very little instructions. You're supposed to find out what to do in each one. That's can be a downside for people. I'm learning the ropes on some. I'm finding there are very few that I like as well. 2 or 3 I found of the 10 I've played, so it's a little bit like Steve at the moment. Only my likes are different to his likes, funnily enough. So I might do a series on it, but I think Steve's doing a wonderful job, so I don't think you need me doing a UFO 50 video stream, to be quite honest. And salute, my friend, and we move to Wee Bob Art. And he's put, great stuff, Del, but sorry to hear that your hospital has been moved. Well, the appointment has. It's still in the same place, the hospital, but I get what you mean. I'm just joking with you, by the way. I was at the hospital for some sleeping issues I have had, and I have been waiting now for more than a year to be seen. Do you know what? I've got sleep deprivation, and I'm waiting to be referred. Obviously not serious, but frustrating. Sometimes I wish we could decide what our tax was put on via a phone vote or something, but I know that that is not practical. Anyway, moving away from public services and politics, just so you are aware, I have 2 channels. My first ever channel, which is just called Wee Bob, is where I posted the community question. I keep it separate from the art channel. Yes, sorry, matey, and I've got actually both of your channels subscribed, and I seem to indicate that it was on your Wee Bob Art one when it's not. It's on the Wee Bob one, so apologies for that. It is in my description, I believe, separated. I'll check it again though. As for the framing of the print, I am not bothered if you hang it or not. Oh, and I just enjoyed drawing it and sending it along for you to keep and do with as you please. So please do not feel you need to put it on display. But I do, matey, and the reason for it is for me. It's a gorgeous print, matey, and I love hanging things up. I don't have an awful lot of room, but what room I do have, I don't want it to fade. So I do want to buy a frame that goes with my other expensive prints. And I also want to buy UV protected coated glass so it doesn't fade. You'll notice that every week the Spider-Man poster that's behind me has gone from deep dark reds to orangey colours, and it won't be very long before you won't see the black ink lines. It doesn't matter to me. I've got 3 other posters of that particular print, but it's where it's going to go, and it will be with UV protected glass. Anyway, question for next time. With your statue collection, do you have any that have built-in lighting or similar to increase the effectiveness of the figure? If not, have you ever DIY lit them or considered it? Anyway, all the best. I do have a lit up statue. It is one of my most expensive ones. It comes from Prime One / Sideshow. It was a £700 statue. It is Spider-Man sort of climbing and fighting Doc Ock's arms. At the end of each of Doc Ock's arms, there is a small light feature where a little green light shines out from the end of the tentacles, and it lights up the feature. obviously, every time I put it away back in the box, I put a little piece of paper between the battery and the contacts so that the batteries don't decrease and the batteries don't leak. I will be getting that out and assembling it and putting it on my spinning disc. What do they call it? A Lazy Susan. Soon. But of course, it's a huge statue. It takes a lot of assembly. It would be definitely an hour long, I should think, statue retrospective. But it is one of my most impressive statues and not the most expensive. My most expensive statue was just under £1,000. And that, again, also has a light up feature. It is Spider-Man 2099 on a futuristic base. And the base lights up. So again, that's a Prime 1 sideshow. Yeah. So you will see those eventually, matey. And thanks very much for asking. I will be doing more statue stuff. I don't do enough of it, I don't think. But they're not watched an awful lot. They do take time to research about the character. And of course, I have to use my other microphone type stuff because the room is echoey. It's got no carpet, it's tiled. And it's very close to the living room, and that's where my mum has the telly full blast because she's deaf. So sometimes it has to be done at opportunist moments. And the last comment of the day comes from Rocket Bunny, my mate Rocket Bunny, who's just started to comment again after a long period of time. And he's enjoying himself in life playing on Steam games at the moment. And what a time to play Steam games. There's a heck of a lot at the moment. And he's put, "Hi Del, makes a change for me to be one of the first listen and comment on your blog. That sounds a shocker with your appointment moving. I'll be honest, that person who booked your appointment for November 5th sounded like a right arse." Yeah, he was. Even my doctor actually said that. From my many interactions this year with the NHS, I seem to find some people are generally very caring and capable people, while others really appear to have better places to be, rather than talking to you. Yeah, sort of like Jobsworth people. I'll do the bare minimum, the thing that I'm employed to do and no more. So, you ask for a cup of tea. That's not in my job description to get you a cup of tea. Bugger off. Blah, 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 blah. Bollocks to them. One thing that is consistent is the complete and utter lack of organisation. I've had so many miscommunications, lack of follow-ups, and clarity on appointments and procedures. The other month, I turned up for what I thought was to be a simple consultation appointment at the hospital, and the next thing I knew, I was on a bed and they were cutting bits out of my head. I had no idea what was going on or to do, but they were very nice about it. Yeah, well, bloody hell, that scared me to death. Taking bits out of your head. Jesus, man. I hope you're okay. I do know about some things that are going on in your life, but I didn't know that. And thank you so much for your insight, and I do wish you incredibly well. Seems like you're going through the ringer like I am. You said you mentioned UFO 50. I've got that on my wish list while I decide if I want to buy it. I'd be interested to see a video of some of your favourite games from it. I'll tell you what, matey, Steve's doing it, but when I get to the end of the 50th game, and it won't be long for me to do that, I might just do here's my favourites. But I think Steve's doing a great job at showing them all. And it might be worth your while just having a quick look there. But I'll show you which are my favourites in a special video. Yeah, that might work. Regarding your request for feedback on your friend's gameplay series, I've enjoyed them and commented on some. I've fallen behind a bit last week, so we'll try and catch up. Found a couple of new games which caught my eye and are on my list to play. Starpost and Dan Terrific. Yes. Dan Terrific was a brilliant suggestion from Steve. And it's one that Mamemeister also played and tried to have a go at. Starpost, the Vic-20 game. What a game. Yeah, that's definitely a one to play. I hope you continue them. I love getting inspired to play new games. I've never heard of that. and as a bit different. Steve is also pretty good at that. Yeah, he is. Thanks very much for that, matey, and the compliment. That's brilliant. Question: picking up from your horror movie comments as we start October, can you recommend a great horror film, let's say relatively unknown, that I possibly haven't seen, that you think is a hidden gem, but I can watch, but that I can watch to get into the Halloween mood? Any suggestion appreciated. Thanks. Yeah. One that was mentioned in the chat, which I've only ever seen once, but I really enjoyed, was something called, and it might be difficult to find because it's just two characters, and it's called P2. Okay, it's set in a car lot on parking level 2, hence P2. And the bloke who's there, who's parked up, is harassed, scared to death, tracked down, all on this parking level 2. It's quite a really shocking film and really good. My mate Ian Hill, The Ramblings, goes on and on about how good The Burning is, which is a very old film, Cronenberg, 70s, but I don't know, it might be 80s, early. But a brilliant film. I've seen it, but I'm not. It's not something that I watch a lot of. It's like I've seen Carrie, I've seen Christine, and all that. Not necessarily do I go back to them a lot. I watch Videodrome more than The Burning, but it is a good film. I remember enjoying it when I saw it. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is one that I recommended to several friends for the last couple of years, and I really enjoyed it. It's very much a scare film, a jump fright film, but it's good. One I had to write it down. This one that Ian recommended to me is a film called Abigail. It is out now, so you should be able to see it. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, but it's not on 4K yet, and there's no steelbook, so I haven't got it. But he raves about it, Abigail. He said it's one of his films of the year. I watched the other week First Omen, and I didn't think I was going to like it, but I really quite enjoyed it. As a prequel to Omen, it actually works quite well. There have been other films that have tried to do this approach, Exorcist being one, Exorcist Believer. Exorcist Believer gets a bad rep, but I actually quite enjoyed it. And the picture quality, I don't know why people turn around and say it's awful. I thought it was all right. I liked it enough that I bought my friend a copy of that. And so the first Omen I would definitely recommend. And the last one is Late Night with the Devil, which is a film that was first introduced to me through a friend, Ryan. He raved about it. He actually cancelled a watch along to see that film and then talked about it the next week. I've got that on pre-order, matey. It comes out next month. So I've heard nothing but good things about that. I've heard it's one of the indie films of the year. Late Night with the Devil. Definitely write that one down. Hope some gems are in there, matey. And like I say, thank you so much for your comments, your question. Absolutely brilliant, my friend. I couldn't wish for any more from you. Thank you, and from everybody that watches. Thank you so much. So that finishes off that, and we're getting to watched on YouTube. Not too much this week, I'm afraid, my friends. Been a bit relaxing, trying to do some jobs, doing stuff on the PC, downloading, all that sort of stuff. But as you know, when I watch on YouTube, and this is that section, this is stuff that comes up in my YouTube feed. Some of these are friends that I've subscribed to. Most of it is bots just come up in YouTube as an alert based on what I watch from other weeks. And there's 2 recurring ones, which is This Week in Retro and Tech Moan, which are great. And I watch them every Saturday at 10 o'clock. That's when they come out with a new episode. So This Week in Retro had 3 subjects, as it always does. It had Apple Invents the Cat, Gaming's Greatest Innovations, and It Clips the Llama's Ass. Or wings, really, actually. 3 subjects that weren't too bad. Not the thing about This Week in Retro is it's always a top-rated show, and there's always something there for me to watch, but not necessarily is everything on the subject matter that you're interested in. I like the Gaming Greatest Innovations, but again, it's one of those ones that I shout at the camera at, because basically it's all about things like what's shaped the gaming community or something, and it's like rumble packs and the SNES controller and point of view hats on a Thrustmaster joystick and that sort of stuff. Rumble packs, that force feedback and that. So I wouldn't have done the same things and in that order either. Like I say, it's a worthy watch. Neil does an exceptional job, and you know, I'm really looking forward to going visiting the cave at some point. And then Techmoan, his channel, this video this week was called Two View, Self-Erasing VHS Hacked with a Paperclip. So yes, back in the late 80s, early 90s, in the Netherlands, I think it was, a VHS tape came out that you could rent. It had a film on it that you could watch 2 times. After the second time, it would erase the tape and you'd be left with a blank. So instead of spending 6 or 7 notes, you know, on the film, it cost you a bit more. It was like 10 or 11 quid or whatever Norway's currency is. And after the second watch, it would erase and you'd have an hour and 40-minute blank tape. You can hack it with a paperclip, because what it does is it does this erasing via a counter that's at the bottom corner of the VHS tape and a arm that moves from left to right for the erase head on your video recorder. With a paperclip, you can stop that arm, and the counter basically then stops moving as well, from 2 to 1 to 0. So that was an interesting one. Again, past tech, stuff that you wouldn't interest you now in the fact that you want to buy it, but tech that you can still use today, and what its uses would be today, and how it stands up. You know what I mean? So Techmoan, definitely worth a sub. I've subbed to him for years. Brilliant. Other stuff I've watched. So I've watched Paul's World of Stuff. That's the site. And he did a Tripods at 40 retrospective. Such a good documentary or retrospective that I put it in my interesting shit section of my Discord. Please go and visit my Discord. The link is in the description. Mamemeister's is also there. Both brilliant places to go to. And so many people there will help you. We have discussions about films and games and music. It's brilliant. Then we've got McFarlane Toys. They did a video about 3 weeks ago demonstrating the new partnership between McFarlane Toys and Marvel. So McFarlane used to draw Spider-Man and then set up his own company called Image and had a horrible breakup with Marvel. But they've kissed and made up, joined with McFarlane Toys, and they're now doing some iconic poses of Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Iron Man. The works. In different sizes, 10th scale, 1/6 scale, and different prices, you know, 30 quid, 50 quid, you know, so forth. Great video. You can see some of the first models that are coming out. I've got one of those pre-ordered. It's a Spider-Man 1/6 scale. And I'll show that off when it arrives. Then you got Near Mint Condition, who I visit virtually every week. I usually go once a week. He's always telling us about future omnibuses coming out in 2025, plus the omnibuses that came out this week. So if I have an omnibus that's delivered this week, I usually go to the near mint condition website and then look at the actual book itself without opening my own copy. Brilliant. We need stuff like that. We've got Sticks Fix. He's one of those people that repairs stuff. He did a fixing of an infinity game board. Basically, it's a huge tablet, but it plays board games. He bought it off of eBay broken for 200 quid, fixed it with a very simple fix, and has now got a 600 quid tablet. I like little shows like that. A, I learn a little bit about the electronics. B, it's nice to have a good news story where he bought something for 200 and gets 600 quid for it. Brilliant. And then LGR did a little video to show that he was okay. I didn't understand what that meant was until I saw a video that was earlier where a tree has landed on his house, and it happened because of Storm Helene over in the States. He's all right. His power is back. He's now got Wi-Fi. They're removing the trees. He then has to have his house repaired, new roof, all that sort of stuff. Disaster for him. And I wish him all the best. But that was nice to see that he's okay. Just want to mention some people now that are friends of mine and do YouTube stuff. There is Euphoria Pictures, my friend Keith. He did an unboxing of some movie collection stuff. Didn't have an awful lot of time to watch stuff this week, but I always try to make time for everybody if I can. Then there's Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Like I say, his output, oh my God. So this is what he did this week. Top 5 horrors between 1960 and 65. Cold Eyes of Fear, a review. One Life, a review. Gift unboxing from Tony, brilliant. X-Files Season 2, Episode 16 review. Doctor Who Armageddon. Forgot what I can't read that very well. Is it Armageddon Space? I think it is. Anyway, that's a review. He did a live with me, brilliant. And I had a ball, like I say, doing the live. Sorry, I destroyed the Doctor Who one. But look at that output. I mean, it's like 2 a day. So much there. Why you're not subbed to him, I don't know. If you're not, you'll never get bored. Absolutely amazing. Then we got Playtendoguy. He did a 4K and Blu-ray haul, and from all different places, HMV and stuff that's been sent to him. He did a Saturday chat with me and obviously Josh and Jamie. And he did some shorts. He did unboxing a Zelda game and reaction on the Joker film. He just got out the cinema and did an instant reaction video. Brilliant, fantastic. Definitely go to him, sub if you can. The chats on Saturday are wonderful, by the way. Mondo Chelloveck Movies did a Second Sight special edition round review. Sort of like an order of greatness. He does these on now and again. Brilliant. All the Arrow boxes. It must have been, Second Sight ones. They must be so difficult to choose which are the best. I watched it and there was some there that I wish I had. Oh my God, they were beautiful looking. Mondo Chelloveck Movies, definitely one for you to go and have a little look at. His collection is astonishing. Muckman-Movies did a September movie pickups and a fave horror steelbook. Yes, those steelbooks will be mine, Muckman-Movies. You better move them bloody quick now. It won't be long before I've got that postcode and bang, I'm up there nicking them. Only joking. And then, of course, there's my mate Jim Jam Movies, who did a What Did I Buy with £2 from a charity shop. And it's quite surprising what he bought. And I'm quite happy for him that he's got something that he can remember a past experience with. Absolutely wonderful. And that's the end of Watched on YouTube. I'll be back in a moment. Just got to splash my water, face with water. Won't be a moment at all. Be like seconds to you. It'll be a moment. Moving on now to the last part of the blog, and it's what I've watched of my friends, and I call it your YouTube. First off, it's Down the Rabbit Hole. He's done 4 fave gaming intros, which is part of Webob's channel. Very interesting. I agreed with some of those. They were absolutely amazing. And he also did a video called I Finally Got a Crusader Helm. He's very much into old armor and D&D and reenactments and stuff. And he bought a little Crusader helm. It looked gorgeous. Definitely something that I wouldn't mind having on my shelf with some of my statues. Definitely go to him and sub if you can. Down the Rabbit Hole's always entertaining. Robert's Retro Gaming. Oh my God, now are you ready for this? This is all of his stuff. Minecraft Skyblock episodes 19 and 20. Minecraft Exile episode 121. Atari 8-bit gameplay Hard Hat Willy and Rocks and Buried Bucks. Buried Bucks is one that I've played. Really enjoyed it. Spectrum, he played Saber Wolf and Pogo. Commodore 64, he played Rainbow Islands and Frogger. Atari ST played Vroom, which I suggested to him. SNES, he played Pac-Man 2 Adventures. Wow. So much content. Now, there's a lot of stuff there. Definitely recommend that. The Minecraft series is excellent if you're into Minecraft. But watching the gameplay, it's like me playing those first-time challenges that I've been doing. Absolutely brilliant. Definitely worth going over to him. He's absolute gaming royalty. He is the prince of Canada for playing games. Definitely one to recommend. And then we come to my mate Steve's Gaming. You bastard. Equally, oh my God, look what he's done. He's done Fingers Malone on the Commodore 16. The best 4 intros, just like Down the Rabbit Hole did. I liked his intros as well. A series called Hydroneer, which he's done episode 7 of. UFO 50 is a new game on Steam. He's done part 1 and 2. He's done about 11 games of the 50 there. Mountain King on the VIC-20, which he had to do because I got off the first level of Ghouls, which was one of his challenges that he asked me to do. Brilliant. Atari Home Soft Disc Part 5, which has got 4 or 5 Atari games that he played, and he played some random Commodore 16 games. Oh my God. For somebody who's not very well, he's done an absolute amazing job of keeping us entertained this week. Absolutely, definitely go and watch that channel and sub if you can. Equally, all of these are worth a sub. 20th Century Gaming. He did a Commodore 64 live stream. Absolutely amazing. And he was talking about all sorts of stuff. He talked also about scams. Now, just to let you know, I get scams all the time as well as trolls. But one of the scams I got this week, which really upset me, was a text message that came to my phone that said, this is my new number. It then had a mobile number. Please make a note. Dad. My dad's been dead 8 years. Now, if I'd have answered that, obviously, it would say that my phone is live and they would then have a telephone number that they can send more scammers to me. If my mum had got that, it would have upset her so much. It upset me enough. I suppose I'm big enough and ugly enough to sort of like let it go. But to get a text message that said, here's my new number, Dad. Nah, awful. And obviously 20th Century Gaming was talking about people that scam and that on top of his C64 live stream. So it was a multifaceted stream and it was great. Loved it. Seb's Place did a video this week. He did Greatest 8-Bit Game by the Greatest 8-Bit Magazines. What he did was he took a selection of magazines of the past, looked at the highest rated games, put them in a spreadsheet, wrote down what the review score was, what the average score was then across all of them, and then came up with the greatest 8-bit game that came out. Shock, surprise on the very top game. Amazing how some reviewers, I think, overhyped certain games. But that was very, very interesting. Colin Jones, aka Ponder, did also Weebob Art's top 4 gaming intros. Um, there was about one or two there that I agreed with. Some I hadn't seen. I had a different set of gaming intros. Um, and then I turned my attention to Weebob Art, who did How to Draw Angry Eyes. I like his drawing series. I'm trying to draw myself, and there was some very interesting tidbits on there on how to draw angry eyes. It's not all about round, it's about how you alter the brow and all that sort of stuff, you know, for when you get really angry, and that, you know, eyes wide open, slitted, all sorts of stuff like that. Brilliant. And my mate Mamemeister last, who did a live stream on Saturday and an 8-bit face-off of Punchy, which was incredibly funny. I do remember my time playing Punchy. Never played all of them across all of the machines, but it was very, very interesting. Very, very funny what he was coming out with. Great. And that's everything to do with what I've got written down. And we really just moved to what's come through the post. Not that much this week, thank God. But I'll move to a new camera, Galaxy Note Cam. Hopefully you can still hear me. Different type of cam. This week I got a steelbook of A Quiet Place Day 1 from HMV. It's a steelbook. Lovely looking steelbook. It goes with my other Quiet Place 4Ks. That's the back of it. I will do unboxing, by the way, of a lot of these when I get to them. At the moment, capsule reviews do take up a lot of my time, but I will be doing some. I bought it cheaply, a Blu-ray of a film called St. Vincent, which I remember immensely loving when I first saw it. It's a Bill Murray film, but it's one where you can see he didn't just dial in the performance. It actually is a very, very good film. Really liked it. Definitely recommended. I got it really cheap. You can pick it up for literally about £3 or £4. Definitely a recommend from me. I saw on Sky this week Big George Foreman. Okay, now Big George Foreman is all about George Foreman, the boxer. It's a little bit like Ali, but a very saccharine light Ali. Doesn't really go into too much depth, but it's enjoyable. It goes all the way from him as a child, growing up, poor, getting his money as a heavyweight boxer, losing his title, how detrimental that was to his mental health, his comeback, which didn't happen. He then discovered God, became a preacher, needed money, and came back and got his heavyweight title for a second time, invested his money in a new product called the George Foreman Grill, made millions on that, and what he's doing now. A lot there, and one that I would recommend watching. It's 2 hours long. It is not like Ali. Ali is a much better film in my opinion, but still very entertaining, and it goes with my boxing films. Me and my dad bonded over boxing, so it's one that I would buy. One that I bought my friend, and one I watched on Sky as well, which was called One Life. It's like Schindler's List, only it's set before World War II, and it's about a guy just before World War II that basically went over to Poland and saw all the children refugees. They're just about to be invaded by the Germans, and it was a race against time on how many children refugees he could rescue that could go over to Britain before World War II started. And then decades later, how those people which had grown up, he turned up on a TV show that was well known in Britain called That's Life, and it basically sort of like it showed his emotion on how doubtful he was on how many people he rescued and whether he did a good job or not. You know, it's a little bit like Schindler's List, where if it had just done a little bit more, maybe he could have rescued more Jews. This one was about Polish refugees and children ones at that. And then, of course, just a steel book that came through. I don't know why I bought this really, because I've got them as individual steel books, but I got the Halloween trilogy, the remake ones, in one steel book. It's quite nice. It's a very nice looking steelbook with a plastic cover. It was cheap, so I bought it. That pretty much ends the stuff that I bought there, and we can now turn to media playback, because we're going to play the trailers at the end of the stream like I normally do. This is stuff that I've watched this week or stuff that I bought. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you on the other side. So I'm going to turn myself off voice wise, and you're going to watch some trailers.
Seconds to on air.
Okay, and you are just here.
Good night. Take father back.
Now, an extraordinary story about a young man who many years ago visited Prague. What he found there were thousands of refugees at the mercy of Hitler's imminent invasion.
Do you ever think about the children and what happened to them?
I bet you got some stories.
That's really not about me.
We are working to evacuate these children by train to safety in Britain.
Why are you doing this, Mr. Winton?
Because I may be able to do something about it. I must.
Go, now.
Nikki, you must know we cannot save them all. You have to forgive yourself that.
I started, sir. I have to finish it.
We cannot let these people down.
It is incredible what you achieved.
We're doing as much as we can.
You have a lot of faith in ordinary people.
Because I'm an ordinary person.
Save one life, save the world.
Forgive me, but how many children are we speaking about?
Can I ask, is there anyone in the audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton?
You can't have a cat in here.
It's a service cat.
We can help each other. We have to get out of the city. If we stay here, we die.
I have a plan.
It's the end of days. No more people. No more New York. No more nothing.
Yeah, and just a couple of films there that I thought that you'd enjoy the trailers of. Sorry, it was Prague that it was the refugees were escaping from. And if you ever want to see a capsule review, go to Ian Hill. And that's the end of the blog, really. Thank you very much for watching. I've had an immense time talking about what my week's been like. I hope you continue to watch. There'll be another blog next week. There'll be stuff during the week as well. All of you are my friends. My family will be watching this at some point. And like I say, it's getting pretty dark out there now, and the nights are drawing in, but don't think about that too much. Just think about how lovely it is to wake up every day. And with that, I'm going to say salute, and say thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.